Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today for something that I have been looking forward to trying, to bring these two of the Shmeemobiles to a runway to see how they stack up. Two cars that are completely different, yet on paper boast pretty similar quarter-mile times. On the one hand, we have the McLaren Senna, an absolutely brutal, track-focused supercar. On the other hand, we have the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, a luxury four-door saloon, but thanks to being an EV with its instant torque, we know pulls off the line absolutely ridiculously. So putting these two against one another could technically go either way, especially with the slightly damp ground that we have on the runway at the moment. So we're going to give this a go then, see which of the Shmeemobiles pulls out in front. A little race between the Taycan Turbo S and the McLaren Senna. We're going to be getting on with this quickly because I am as intrigued as you are to see exactly how it is going to go. Two cars that serve completely different purposes, but officially have quite similar figures when it comes to a run down the quarter mile. The Taycan Turbo S claims 10.5 seconds, the Senna claims 10.1, subject of course to traction, which on a day like today where it's 5 degrees and the surface is still drying, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go. That's not the only number though that they're very similar with. The 0 to 100 km/h times, or 62 miles per hour, are officially 2.8 seconds and 2.8 seconds. Completely different approaches though, like I said. So the Taycan is the newest arrival to my garage. It's just been transformed by Dub Customs into the midnight green with the Aurum gold accents around it, but this thing is a rocket ship. 761 horsepower with the overboost in the Taycan Turbo S. Of course it's four-wheel drive. It actually has a dual speed gearbox and also 1050 newton meters of torque, but obviously with the batteries, it is also quite a heavy thing at 2,295 kilos. In fact, that's almost 1,000 kilos heavier than the Senna, which is the ultimate in lightweight. The wet weight of this is 1,309 kilos. We've got 800 horsepower from the 4-litre bi-turbo V8. We have 800 newton meters of torque, so 40 horsepower more than the Taycan, but 250 newton meters down. The 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, of course with launch control, but that is subject to getting the grip with the sticky Trofeo tyres, which I can tell you are made for warmer temperatures than we have today. So which way is this going to go? Predictions: Taycan off the line, Senna will be catching, but will it catch before the mark? To do this, I'm going to be driving in the Senna, but I just had a go myself driving the Taycan, and this car is ludicrously fast and very easy to do the launch control. In fact, let me quickly explain how you go about it. The car is currently parked in Sport Plus mode, so you can tell that with the air suspension sitting a little bit lower, the car looking epic. As you walk up to it, this process is super simple. The handles detect and pass them out, the sensors obviously detecting your proximity. But to do the whole process, I can show you this very quickly. We've currently got the battery doing the preheating just to make sure it's up to temperature. But to start the car, close the door, foot on the brake, that's all you've got to do. Everything wakes up, comfort access, moves the steering wheel, all of the other screens like the passenger display come into action. Then obviously pop my seatbelt on. And then the whole process is as simple as this. Drive mode up into Sport Plus, you can see that. Gear selector here, into drive. And then to actually drive, foot firmly on the brake into hold, firmly on the throttle, launch control activated, let go of the brake, and away you go. It is that easy in the Taycan to get in the car and do a launch. So, to turn it off, you just press and hold here. Obviously we'll need to get a little bit more charge. It was about 55% just then. I'll have to get some charge to get back home, but an electric car to have made it out here in the first place. So this car is running in its standard setup, the Goodyear Eagle F1 tyres at 2.8 bar. We've got every car in completely standard configuration as it would be driven on the road. So the Senna is running the Trofeo Rs from Pirelli at 2 bar all around as well. Tyres that are new at the rear as well, but as you can see, quickly picking up the grime from the ground. We need to see if it's going to dry out. In the Senna, to do the same process and show you how this works, to open it up, double press, gives a pop of the doors. One interesting thing, this car has soft close and the family saloon Taycan actually doesn't, unusually. Anyway, let's take a step inside here. A little bit more of a process to doing the launch in the Senna. We've also got the V-Box Race Logic, their new touch system, to measure some data as well. To start the Senna, the button is up here on the roof. Give a press of that. The V8 fires up. I'm just going to pop my seatbelt on. As you can see, it's doing all the tyre pressure readings and the like. Now for this, we will activate active dynamics. We'll keep it in a softer suspension mode, because when you're going to do this and you want the maximum launch, you actually don't want the car completely down to the ground and the stiffest possible setup. As you can see, it is, however, very, very cold. This car will need to warm up a touch before we can do the launch control. We need to get some warmth into the engine, but the process is quite similar. You would press the button here, it would engage launch control, and then you'd do the same with the brake. Hold the brake, press the throttle, let go of the brake, and away you go. But it's really about traction. It will be between different traction modes depending exactly how much grip we have. ESC dynamic, whether it's fully off, probably not, or whether we keep it completely on. But we're going to see how it goes between these two then in just a moment. The Senna is now warm, the tarmac is slightly drying, so it is time to do this. Taycan, are we ready?
We are ready.
Perfect. Okay then, let's have a countdown from 5, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, the Taycan is off, look at that! The speed of this, 10.72 on the V-Box for the quarter mile time. Flying past, but that was close. Right up towards the end. We were off at about the same time. We're going to do a couple of runs and actually swap sides as well. But that was really fascinating. The Taycan is so quick off the line, but then this just comes steamrollering through, and obviously 0 to 200 time 9.6, 0 to 200 here 6.9. So you can imagine if they're the same 0 to 100, that's quite a significant difference. And that's the thing with electric, it doesn't quite have that top end yet. But comparing these two, that was astonishing to see how this just raked back in the Taycan. But we will now line up the other way around, just to change things around a little bit. Give it another go. Right, time for run 2. Taycan over to the right of me, and it is slightly drier on this side, so I imagine it's going to be a complete takeoff, but waiting for the count. Ready to launch, there we go.
4, 3,
officially speaking, when they're claiming the figures, it's always with deflated tyres and the right environment, not when it's 5 degrees outside on very cold, slightly damp tarmac. To do 10.57 in here is really quite something. He says, looking at the Taycan as we make our way back down. We're going to do one more, just to get, I would have said best of 3, but this is kind of one of the best of 3, just to go the other way around again. The third and final run, although I do need to get some figures from the Taycan as well, but this car, it's just bonkers fast. So, here we go. Into launch mode. Oh, I let it get off the line ahead of me there. This might be closer. This thing, oh, you can hear all of the stones on the carbon fibre bodywork here. This car is just ludicrously fast. Ludicrously fast. To see that data, I mean, it's just absurd. It's just absurd. I think I should probably do a little run, just setting this to the 0 to 62 miles an hour, 100 kilometers to see what comes out. Now that I've got the drier lane all to myself with some numbers with the Senna, and it's not completely dry, remember, I'm going to get a little bit more heat in the tyres. So press and hold ESC, press again to confirm selection. Check VDC, the variable drift control, the software that allows you to put it quite sideways. But now foot off the brake, no creep, and then press really hard on the throttle pedal and watch what happens. Okay, you have to do that. You want to get the heat in the tyres so that now we can do a quarter mile instantly. Of course, the V-Box is running. We're going to get a 0 to 100, back onto the launch. So, one press, I'll put it back into dynamic, and then we will go launch control, warm tyres, full throttle, go. Watching those numbers. 10.25. I got a 10.25 in the slight damp. 10.25 in the damp. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, there's no question. This car is insanely fast. Now, just on a dry piece of tarmac here, let's pop it into a 0 to 100 km/h sprint. It's super easy to actually do this. Okay, one more launch. Let's see how we manage. Okay, launch control engaged. 2.77. I've beaten the claimed figures on a slightly damp, very cold day. What a car. What a car. Now then, it is time to just do the Taycan. Moved over, everything is still set. We're in Sport Plus, everything's correct. Into drive, strange going from the noise of the Senna to the silence of this, but we shall line up. We have the V-Box set up still for the sprint, 0 to 100 km/h, so we'll keep it in that actually for the moment. Make sure we're comfortable. Right, nice and easy. It's just too easy. All you do, foot on the throttle, engage launch control, go! Just over 3 seconds. I mean, this is ballistic. It uses about 2% of battery per launch control, it looks. And we need to make sure that we've got enough to be able to get to a charging point later. So let me use roughly the same area where we did this before. Now we've got slightly warmer tyres and it's slightly drier here. So back on the hold, foot down, launch control activated, go. It's just mental. The amount of torque almost makes you 2.77. We've matched the Senna. The amount of torque just makes you feel a little bit giddy. Oh, we've got the hazards on from braking too hard. Obviously, we've got the ceramic brakes with the Turbo S. So one more. Launch control activated. Go. Yeah, it's getting quicker, you know. 2.88, but you can feel it just get the grip better. That was slightly uphill. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to spin around and do a quarter mile time as well here. So let's come through the end and then change the settings and line it up to do a timed quarter mile. This side again. Then with this, all you do is pop it into miles and select 0 to quarter mile. Done. And then foot back on the brake, foot back on the throttle, launch control activated, go. You almost feel it kicking you through from the back. It's a funny sensation, the way it distributes power and torque. Obviously very clever torque vectoring, 10.87. 10.87. So actually closer to claimed than we were getting with the Senna, down to 37% battery. So we actually need to watch this a little bit now. Pop it back into normal. Ride height will go up. And there we go. I mean, this is mega, but the race between the two of them is the fascinating thing. It's what I suggested earlier, that this off the line will just shoot away. The power of four-wheel drive, instant torque, electric, on the move. But when the Senna hooks up and it puts the power down, it's just into a different stratosphere in terms of performance. It's so phenomenally fast. It almost makes this look a little bit, I mean, at the speed it's passing, it's 150 miles an hour to about about 126, yeah, 126 or so at the end. It's a huge, huge, huge difference between the two. This has been really, really interesting and very cool. Who would ever have thought then that these two cars could have been so evenly matched up to a point, because of course if it continued for a half mile or for a full mile, the Senna would have been off into the distance, or in this case probably off into the fog. But two totally different cars, totally different approaches to motoring. The electric, luxurious, family, saloon car for daily driving, and, well, currently the most brutal track car that's been in production. Some more things are coming, but to put them side by side, both kind of actually in their unnatural environments. The Senna would be at home on a racetrack, where presumably it would totally dominate the Taycan in terms of lap times. That would actually be more at home for a comfortable drive on the road. And in fact, I can confirm that, having driven the Senna up here to the runway myself. It is noisy, it is rough, it is loud, it is pretty uncomfortable. But two totally different Shmeemobiles, two very cool cars in different ways, and if I can say so myself, two very nice specifications as well. The dual tone blue and the green and gold, looking awesome as the sun starts to go down as well, after an amazing amount of fun with these two, the Senna and the Taycan, the two Shmeemobiles. And so many of you had asked me to put some of the Shmeemobiles head to head, and I would be very interested to hear what you might like to see next. This was an outcome that we thought might happen. We've seen it now. We did the 3 runs, by the way, just so we could eliminate things like driver error or delays on the start, so that you can get a real world opinion, an impression of it, because those are things that often change. And like I said, both cars are in road configuration, road pressures for the tyres as they were, no special treatment for today. Obviously we did have a full tank of fuel in the Senna, we didn't in the Taycan, but isn't it amazing that that car, we didn't have a full charge, obviously that doesn't add any weight, but isn't it amazing that that, being about 1,000 kilos heavier than this, can get off the line even faster? And that is electric for you. Instant torque, all-wheel drive, and demonstrated right here. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Do let me know what you'd like to see next, perhaps. But that is it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!